Greetings, everybody. I'm your host, Krusty Canuck, and today's show on this beautiful April 18th, 2019, we're going to be discussing the results of the Alberta provincial election and more of the carbon fiasco. I'm your host, Krusty, and, I'm not impressed. It's great to see that the NDP is out of Alberta, and it's also great to see that we're actually probably getting a little more progress. But based on all the controversies that have been going on with Jason Kenney and all these other guys and all these other clowns and who said what and he said this and she said that, blah, blah, blah. Come on, people, we're smarter than that. Was the NDP really a force for good for Alberta? Honestly, ask yourself this. Taxing people, putting more insurance claims, raising all these wages. Everybody likes a good living wage. I get it. It's worth it. But have you actually been to some of the fast food joints and some of the smaller joints out there in the major cities, i.e. Edmonton and greater parts of Calgary, and even eastern Alberta here? And do you not realize sometimes there's just not a lot of effort given when it comes to, getting things done? Makes you think. Now, I remember minimum wage when I was a teenager. It was pretty low, but you learn how to save your money, you learn how to do things right. Right? But needless to say, I'm not saying that you can't or you don't deserve $15 an hour. But what I'm saying is that you should make the effort to earn it too. That's just my logic. I've had numerous jobs where I was making 10, 12, and I did what I could, save my pennies. I made some mistakes, but I learned from those and paid my dues. Anyhow, I'm glad the NDP's out though. Regardless of whatever good intentions they had, they basically didn't really, they didn't help the oil sector out. Alberta is oil, period, we've got agriculture and everything here, but they weren't very fair to the farmers either, too. Having to put insurance on farm employees, having to put insurance on their own family members, which, generally people usually already have to begin with. That's what happens when you get big government getting involved, telling you how you have to be, how you have to act, how you have to react. And really, it's none of the government's effing business. It isn't. Who the hell is the government to tell me how to run my business? Whether I'm, harvesting, 300 or 400 acres worth of canola or wheat, or whether I'm trying to get oil out for the people to drive their cars to work every day. So, the individuals out there that are disappointed about the NDP not calling the shots, well, too bad. Is Jason Kenney any better? I don't know. But, personally, I do have some conservative values, but I also have some libertarian values, meaning I believe in live and let live and keep big government out of our lives. That's right. Don't tell me what water I can use. Don't tell me what I have to drive. If I have the money to pay for it, let me do it. I don't need permission to fill my truck or fill my car. I don't need permission to assist my wife in helping her with her car. You know what I mean? And if you want to stop the so-called carbon footprint, then maybe some of you political types and you cronies stop jet-setting around the world telling other people what to do. Because you know how much carbon comes out of the back of an airplane? Apparently quite a bit. And how much fuel goes into a flight? Quite a bit. Quite a few pennies that comes out of the taxpayers' dollars. So a lot of you cronies can fly around and tell us what to do. Does that sound familiar there, Miss Climate Barbie? 12 years to live, apparently? Is that your logic? Eh? Didn't AOC say something like that down in the States? If we don't help ourselves, we got like 12 years to live. Oh my God, it's like it's World War II. Like, holy fuck, ladies, come on, get a goddamn grip. Really? How bad is life really going to be in 12 years? Oh, we're all going to die, so we got to charge you an extra 10, 15 cents or more every time you fill up your car or truck, and every time you eat, and every time you fart, and every time you breathe. And cows are bad, right? Yeah, well, F you. No, it's a cash grab. It's a tax grab. All it is. How are you going to save the world in 12 years with these plans? My understanding, if the world's going to end in 12 years, wouldn't there be some kind of plan put together for us? Wouldn't there be some kind of dome maybe being made? Some invisible force field? I don't know. Would it be like the movie 2012, where all these boats are being made in China? And then, whatever's left of humanity after all the disasters is saved on these giant ships? Is that the logic? Is that what you're saving up for? Is that a conspiracy in the works? No. It's greedy politicians telling us, again, what to do, how to live our lives, what we got to spend our money on, and more or less being punished for using our vehicles. Now, I would love to see an alternative to fossil fuel. I would love to see an alternative to something that's, might hurt the environment. I'd rather see something that works, right? We've tried the wind. How does that work? Wind turbines, okay, generate some power. But what lubricates all those working parts in said turbines? It's not vegetable oil, ladies and gentlemen. And solar panels, okay? How many of you know about a Canadian winter? Sure, the sun does shine sometimes. But then there's other days where you get overcast, snowstorms, whiteouts, and everything. Not too great for the sun now, is it? There was a few days this past winter that reminded us of the Ice Age. Yeah. So, I don't know, folks. Think for yourself. I don't think any kind of carbon tax is worth the taxpayers' efforts, and it's basically just a cover-up to liberal spending. And hats off to the individuals that are backing up Ontario and other provinces in regards to fighting this in court. I personally believe it's unconstitutional. Canadians on average are paying anywhere from 40 to 42.5% of taxes a year. That's including municipal, that's including provincial, and of course the federal taxes, which, we all should pay by this time now, according to our authority figures, right? And then every so often you get a letter from the CRA stating, oh, we've reassessed you and we've recalculated you owe this much more. Great. So so-called professionals back in whatever tax area that looks after this country, reassessing you and your personal income, telling you what more money you have to pay up because they can't do the fucking math. Simple adding and subtracting. Anyhow, before I lose a gasket here, blow my mind with all this ritualistic anger, I want to say a hats off to somebody very, very dear to me. Nanny, my grandmother. She recently just passed away, and by the looks of my finances at the moment, I don't think I'll be able to get home for the funeral. Anyhow, I'm not asking anyone for any money. I'll ask you to donate to my page and to my work here. You can reach me at krustycanuck.ca. You can reach me at krustybcanuck67@gmail. Follow me on Facebook and follow me on Instagram on the same name, Krusty Canuck. If you want to donate to my work here, please do. I encourage it. I have T-shirts, I have mugs, all that good stuff. And 30% of every donation and every sale of my merchandise I will graciously give to the Calgary Veterans Food Bank. And if anything's left over, I will graciously give to my local Legion here because I believe in helping out veterans and those in need to the best of my ability. But hats off to my grandmother. Her name was Amelia. She lived to the ripe age of 97 years, and she's overcome a lot. She raised 6 beautiful kids, one of them being my mother, who passed away a few years back. And, well, Nanny, I miss you. You taught me a lot. Your patience and your virtue really inspired a lot in me. And I'm thankful, and I'm grateful that you're in my life. And I am so blessed that I had your teachings and your guidance. I'm going to miss you. But you'll be with Gramps, you'll be with Mom, you'll be with Patty, you'll be with everyone you ever cared about. Ladies and gentlemen, when the elderly pass, let's keep this in mind, that they've lived one hell of a life. My grandmother and my grandpa survived the Great Depression. They did their part during World War II, and they overcame insurmountable odds through every economic upheaval that this country has seen. And they still managed to raise 6 wonderful kids. And those 6 kids gave birth to me, my sisters, my cousins. And they gave birth to some of my second cousins. So hats off to the Walpole family in Owen Sound, Ontario. Hats off to everyone that counted, too. But enough of that. I don't want to get all emotional here. I'm doing this show for you, the listener and the viewer. I'm working on more videos as we speak, too. I had some software issues, but in the meantime, this is what I got to offer. So please enjoy. And if you have a comment at the aforementioned addresses, krustycanuck.ca, reach me there. Or at Krusty B. Canuck, that's Krusty letter B. Canuck, 67@gmail. Or reach me at Facebook on Krusty Canuck and Instagram at Canuck Krusty. So moving on to the election results. Is Jason Kenney the best person? I would say he's a hell of a lot better than Notley. And it's not a matter of me settling or, not getting out there and choosing a better candidate. I chose who I thought would be the better person for the job. I didn't care about gender or quota or parity. I cared about who made sense in that last debate. And you can reference that in the last podcast I had there, or check out yourself. I put links on the page there. But I said the last debate just didn't show a lot. It was CBC basically refereeing. It was like a high school fight, if anything. I've seen high school debate teams have more integrity and more chutzpah than these clowns. Everybody was getting cut off. Everybody was being told what to say, when to say it. And, of course, the officiator there stating, oh, you got 1 minute. Oh, 45 seconds. Oh, you got this. Oh, you got that. Oh. It was like watching a bad episode of the Air Farce. Holy shit. Well, I've seen some good political debates before, but that one was just right the fuck out to lunch, ladies and gentlemen. So, with that being said, I think Jason Kenney will do good for this province. But every Conservative government that has been elected after any NDP or any Liberal government, we're going to have to tighten our belts, tie up our shoes a bit tighter. And I predict that there's going to be some social programs probably being cut because of the ridiculous spending that Notley committed. Regardless of her virtues, regardless of what she promoted. I'm a firm believer in equal rights for all. I don't care if you're gay, straight, bi. I don't care. I don't care what alliances are alive or what alliances are not alive. It's a matter of common courtesy and human decency. And that shit you're taught when you're raised, ladies and gentlemen. That you don't need the government to show you that. We don't. We don't need the government telling us how to be good to people. We should have that instinct and that desire in us already. Regardless. Well, your kid's going to go to school, get a secondary education. They should be learning how to read and write, how to do proper mathematics. Hell, let's incorporate home ec again. What's wrong with teaching a kid how to cook for his or herself? Right? Bring back wood shop. Bring back mechanics. Bring back drafting. God, I loved drafting when I was in high school. I thought that was fantastic. I loved it so much I was actually thinking about pursuing it as a career too. But then I realized, oh, wait a minute. I'm being taught metric and everything's still imperial. Fuck. Oh, well, needless to say, I've persevered. But, yeah, you don't see too many high schools out there anymore really incorporating, hands-on work. And maybe that's what the Notley government should have done, is incorporate a little more education in the education. Instead of sitting there waving the virtue flag like a bad South Park episode, saying, let's do it for the children. Oh, yes, let's do it for the children. Yes, exactly, for the children. But those children are going to grow up to be so-called functioning adults, right? And they can't handle cooking some rice, or they can't handle cooking a meal, or they can't handle putting together a table because they don't have the basic skills. So when it comes to education, let's talk about reality here. And I think the UCP might have a good firm hand in that. But tell me what you think. If you beg to differ, or if you want to debate, please let me know. Give me a comment below here. You can reach me at Podbean, Krusty Canucks podcast on Podbean. Leave a comment when I post this cast, and we can go from there. Right? But UCP, I don't know. I think they're probably the better party. And with the landslide of winning, 64 seats out of an 87-seat legislature, I think they're probably going to do a better job. I think they're really going to get things running and probably put some more faith back in the oil patch. I got nothing against working for a living. I got nothing against anybody out there hauling ass, whether it be 12, 16-hour days. But there's got to be a purpose. There's got to be a reason for it. And to automatically just dismiss the oil patch because the environmental impact, well, no one considers the environmental impact when it comes to people dumping raw sewage in the St. Lawrence Seaway, do they? Right? La Belle Province can get away with that, and then certain officials in the Quebec Parliament can sit there and dictate the pros and cons of Canadian oil all they want. But I don't see too many Quebec people standing up and saying, screw you, Charlie, on that. Right? I'm not dissing Quebec. I love Quebec. I've worked with a lot of good Quebecers. I've met some fantastic people from La Belle Province. And, well, they want oil. Right? They want oil. There's a market for Canadian oil out there. And rather than just us selling to the States and trying to divvy up whatever profits to give equalization. How about we start standing up to Ottawa and saying, no, fuck you, Charlie. You take enough tax already. You're not taking any more of our oil. So, and then they wonder why people want to separate. Interesting, right? So, you've heard enough about the ass clown in Ottawa, Mr. Justin Trudeau, and his threatening to sue Mr. Scheer. Yeah, because he put him on the spot. Welcome to adulthood, Justin. You make a mistake, you own it. That's for everybody in your cabinet, too. So, I just hope this election will inspire the rest of Canadians to make the right decision, especially when it comes to October, right? There's no such thing as a perfect government. You and I both know it, right? No such thing as perfect politics or perfect democracy. But, God, I have worked and I have fought with a lot of guys who deserve a hell of a lot better than that, right? We got to look after our veterans. We got to look after our seniors. We have to look after the First Nations and make sure they got clean water, folks. Period. I think clean water is beyond a right. Water is life. Whether you swim in it, bathe in it, drink it, wash with it. Clean water. Why is that so difficult? Why? Ask yourself that. Is it mismanagement? Is it poor leadership? You could factor all those things in there. But when the federal government says they're going to clean up the water, bloody well do it. I don't care what shield you wear. I don't care if you're conservative, liberal, or NDP. I don't care if you're libertarian. I don't care if you're Mad Max's People's Party of Canada. Let's clean it up. Everybody deserves a clean drink of water. Period. Water's life. There's no excuse for it as far as I'm concerned. So next election, let's think about the politicians and think about how they screwed a lot of good people out there, especially people back home in Ontario, people I missed, and some of my old friends and family. I have family members who are paying ridiculous amounts of taxes, and they can never get a straight answer when something needs to be said. Right? All the people that harp about Mr. Ford and his buck of beer scenario. Well, that's what happens when you elect a Liberal government to look after things, and they spend, put yourselves into debt, and then here come the Conservatives again, who have to tighten up the belt and start cutting things. Right? That's just how it works. I'm not saying it's a good thing, but I'm not saying it's a bad thing either. I'm not going to sit here and say, Doug Ford's a great guy, but I am going to say, well, he really gave Wynne a run for her money, and some of my friends and family in Ontario, really couldn't stand her and her blabbering and her whole diversity concept when it came to, letting everybody just walk right in. I don't know. That's just Wynne. She's gone. She's a windbag, The whole cabinet's a bunch full of windbags. Anyhow, tell me what you think. You can reach me at krustycanuck.ca, krustybcanuck67 at gmail.com, or send me a comment or two on Facebook. Same name, Krusty Canuck, or on Instagram. I need to hear your voices, folks. Challenge me in debate. Talk to me. Let's get the dialogue going here. Let's get things on the run. Let's keep talking. This Alberta election is only the stepping stone to, I think, probably something greater. As I said, nothing's perfect. You're not going to find a super perfect government in any situation, any country. But, excuse me. It's time for Canadians to stand up and get pissed off. Really. And Alberta proved it. They proved it. And yeah, there were some other decent candidates out there. Mr. Mendelson seemed legit. He was happy to do oil. He was happy, to straighten things and strengthen things, rather. But, he didn't get a seat. Okay. And I'm so bloody happy, too, that the Mr. Liberal representative, Mr. Khan himself, even though he sounded like he had good points in the debate, never got elected. Well done. Well done, Alberta. Because I'll tell you this right now, the Liberals I grew up with, aren't the Liberals that are out there today. Not even close, right? You're sitting there waving the flag of all this kumbaya-isms and everything. Right? You're forgetting about security. You're forgetting about people's ability to work and think for themselves, right? Too many nannies out there, too many nanny states looking after things. And the Liberal and NDP are alike when it comes to that. So that's my spiel on that, right? Well, let's hope when October comes around, folks, ladies and gentlemen, that we actually think. Don't put your heart into it. Save your heart for your jobs and your families and your loved ones and your passions. But let's start looking at the good people that can do some good work in this country. They might be conservative. They might be PPC. You know, they might be libertarian. You know, I myself, I'm getting tired of big government telling me what I can and cannot do with my money and with my time. I fought for Canada. My comrades fought for Canada. We fought together against what we thought was a terrible thing. We thought we were doing a good job, and that the last thing we want to see is this country turn into something other than Canada, right? I'm not saying that on a racial stereotype. I'm not trying to segregate, or I'm not trying to be hateful here. I'm talking about we fought for a democracy that works. Let's keep it working, folks. You know? A lot of us crusty old vets, we don't care what color you are. We don't care what religion you are. We don't care what your preference is in or out of the bedroom. We just care about looking after good people that care in return, right? So when it comes to the next federal election, let's look at the veterans. Let's look at the seniors. Let's look at the people that have worked 30, in some cases 40 years, right? Let's keep education as education, not indoctrination. Let's start teaching younger people how to do things on their own, how to make their own meals, how to make a chair, how to make a table, you know, how to change a tire, how to sometimes put your goddamn cell phone down and have a fucking conversation with somebody. Don't worry, folks, I'm guilty of that too sometimes. My wife and I are just as guilty for that. And I have to catch myself to put it down and say, fuck. Babe, how was your day? You know what I mean? Actually have a heart-to-heart, actual face-to-face conversation over a cup of tea or coffee or a beer, whatever. Well, we forget that. So there's more things at stake here than just, Canadian pride when it comes to our elections. Let's get back to some basics and start hiring people that have the qualifications, right? Meritocracy. Classic meritocracy. You know? And when I look at this government here now in Alberta, I'm looking at meritocracy, I think, to its almost finest point. You know, you have all these people that are actually qualified to do things, and they're not put in key positions just because of their gender or because they're associated with some group. They all promote merit, they all promote integrity, and genuine interest and genuine desire to look after the people of Alberta. Now, if we had that in Ottawa, well, I don't think we'd have a problem with the Liberal Party. The problem is that we don't. We don't have officials in Ottawa looking after our interests. They're looking after their own. And a handful of people in Quebec, and a handful of people in Ontario, and a handful of people in Europe. You know, how they want to see things, how they want to rule things all the time. So, when people ask me, and people have pointed and, accused me of being, sexist. There's nothing sexist about hiring somebody who could do the job. Doesn't matter what gender you are. Can you do the work? As far as I'm concerned, you're hired if you can. Right? Anyway, something to think about, folks. The Alberta election was a success as far as I'm concerned. And now I got to work in the rest of the country. I don't want to see Alberta separate. Alberta is just as important to Canada as what Quebec is, what PEI is, what Newfoundland, Labrador, Northwest Territories, Nunavut, Yukon, BC, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and Ontario alike, New Brunswick. Every province has its importance. Every person has their importance. Every man, woman, and child have their importance in this country. And as far as I'm concerned, you're all worth fighting for. All of yous. But we got to have people in there that are willing to fight for us, too. that are willing to look at the whole carbon fiasco and say, okay, no more carbon tax. Willing to say, okay, you want to put all this much crap in the river and in the air? Fine. Tax those individuals that do that. Tax the people responsible for that. Don't give $12 million to Loblaws. They didn't need it. But we all know, based on my last episode, how well in sync the whole Weston family is in tune with the Liberals and NDP. Right? That $12 million could have gone to the grassy roots nation that needed clean water, that needed help, needed a boost. Or it could have gone to other reservations, or it could have gone to some seniors, or it could have gone to some schools that needed renovations, right? Oh, but what do I know? You're just a crusty old veteran. What the fuck do you know, eh? Quite a bit. Common sense. Common sense politics is what we need, folks. Well, and if anybody's interested in running for any other party, I highly suggest we get some more blue-collar folk out there in the world. You know, from all walks of life. Doesn't matter, farmers, carpenters, mechanics, tradespeople of all sorts, all shapes and sizes, all genders and identities, whatever that may be. But needless to say, well, let's get some more blue-collar common sense ground in there. You know, there's nothing wrong with making money. Nothing wrong with paying taxes. As long as the taxes are going to something legit. And don't tell me roads. What a con that is. Holy fuck. Right? Used to be a running joke. Oh, there's 2 seasons in Canada, winter and construction. Unfortunately, that's becoming a reality. You're seeing more and more construction going on, more and more congestion, and more bullshit. So don't tell me that comes with roads. All right? But anyhow, like I say, let's get into the frame of mind where we need some more blue-collar mentality, some more common sense. Well, getting people in there making decisions for us, not just for a handful of people that can be flown to a private island, yes, and sit around and talk about, oh, how am I going to sell Canada down the road? Yeah, you know how that goes. Anyhow, folks, I've been Krusty Canuck. That is my spiel for 18th of April, 2019. Hope you enjoyed. Please check out my merchandise at teespring.com under Krusty Canuck merchandise. And if you can donate, please donate via my Podbean account or my webpage at krustycanuck.ca. Please consider donating, contributing. Every little bit helps. Now, I've been Krusty Canuck, and I will see you next time. And remember, humanity and merit wins the day. Take care, and bye for now.